It is the Primordial Radio upvote. In at number 2 there we have Orbital Junction and Green Man, which brings us to now this very moment where we get to the number 1 choice as voted for by you. Now, there's probably no great secret actually about what this actually is, because it was mentioned in 2020 before we realized what we were actually going to do with all of these likes and dislikes, and then we realized, oh yeah, we did reveal that a little while back, didn't we? Anyway, it is my absolute honor and pleasure to welcome back now Millie of Millie, Manders and the Shutup. Millie, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
So good, so good. How was your Christmas break? Did you manage to have a nice bit of time off?
Yeah, do you know what? I had a really good time off. Actually had 2 weeks off that I don't usually get over Christmas, so some real headspace, lots of food, way too much alcohol. Yeah, it was brilliant. Thank you. How was yours?
Same, absolute same. I think because usually at Christmas, and of course love doing it, see all the family, get around the country, all that sort of thing, and that's great. But this time couldn't do any of that, so it really was just kind of like, well, what are we going to do today? Oh, I don't know. I'm like, well, I just crack another tinny. You're like, all right. So yeah, it was very chill, very lax. So yeah, although very very different, did manage to make the best of it. So as I just said, the last time that you were on the station was just around the release of your new album, Telling Truths, Breaking Ties, and I believe that Moose mentioned it back then, that your story was at number 1 and the most liked, and I kind of forgot about that, is because we were thinking originally with this we might get everyone to do a vote on the website as a separate thing, but then the much smarter folks, the tech wizards, much smarter than us, said to us, well, everyone's already been voting for the year, guys. You might as well just, use the stuff that's there. It's like, that's a really good idea. But yeah, so of course, it was already been revealed a little while back that you were at number 1, but not only just at number 1, but multiple entries with Bitter and Burnout as well. The response, it seems, not just here at Primordial, but across the board to the album, it genuinely has been incredible.
I mean, I really can't put it into words just how mind-blowing it's been. It's certainly put pressure on if we're going to do a sophomore album. I'm really scared already.
They talk about that second pressure album, don't they?
I'm so scared. But it's been an incredible experience, and I couldn't have asked for more in terms of reaction to our album, and I couldn't be more grateful for the support that we've received. There's been so much positive feedback from all sides, and for you guys to upvote 3 songs in the top 100 is just bonkers. Like, I mean, you guys play astronomical bands, like bands that are in, record companies that are like Universal and Sony and stuff. So I literally don't have the words other than thank you.
Well, and that has been the great thing today, as we've seen all of the music play out, because this is the first time that we've done this, and we included releases from all years, because we didn't have a way just to filter out the releases just from 2020 this time around. But even with some of the older releases there, and there was a few, predominantly it has been new music today that has been at the forefront. The top 10 alone has been new music, and that for me has been really heartwarming to see that, the way in which the fam have rallied around new music, not just yours, but new music as a whole. I suppose as an up-and-coming artist, that in a tough time, in a bit of a grim world, that might give you a little bit of hope.
It really does. And that's one thing that I loved about the Primordial fan when I first met you guys at the AGM.
Oh, the AGM. Oh.
Sorry, did I just swear?
Time ago. Oh, yeah, it feels like it.
The fact that people really do, the people that support Primordial really are looking for the up-and-coming artists support. They're not just pouring their money into bands that already have lots of support and money rolling behind them. they're there looking for the next artists and adding to their collection, and supporting real grassroots bands. You know, you guys play quite a lot of my friends' bands as well, and it's really lovely to hear those guys on the radio and stuff as well. So yeah, I think this is the most supportive community I've come across as a mid to large size radio station, really and truly pushing for grassroots bands to get some airtime. You don't get that with other large radio stations, you know. Places like, I'm not going to name any, but like,
we know the names. Yeah,
all of those bigger stations,
them,
rock or otherwise, they're much more influenced by the radio pluggers, the people that are getting paid to get those songs on.
And I think just data as well. If you don't meet a certain criteria, if you haven't got X amount of likes on Facebook or X amount of Instagram followers, before your music is even listened to, it's numbers first, music second, is my experience of the bigger stations. They look at the numbers and then they judge the music, which I think is wrong. It's the other way around.
Or they have to have a major label. I mean, I have seen bands that only have like 137 followers on Instagram. That's very specific.
That's a specific
but we'll have, I don't know,
but they've got the major
members of the band will be from a previous band that had a deal with Sony, and so they've managed to get this new band a deal with Sony, and so that band then ends up getting on.
It's a lot of who you know,
Radio X and BBC One, all the of course. Like, it's the word corrupt doesn't sit well with me, but perhaps conglomerate is a good word for it. And I'm not bitter about it, because, you know, everything is business these days, everything is politics, and you can't get away from it. But I am so grateful for you, for Primordial Radio, championing the small fish, the little ones in the pond.
And genuinely, it is our pleasure. And for anyone who's listening to this now, we are open for new submissions all the time, just at the website, primordialradio.com/submit. And Millie, I think one of the reasons that so many of the fam have connected with your music is because it's a very personal record. There's a lot of you and your experiences on the record. So what does it feel like then when you've put down these very personal experiences on a record and you've got thousands of people now that are connecting with you through that experience?
I'll be honest, I didn't realize it was thousands.
We have over 2,000 members now, of which over 1,500 are now paying members. So
right, that's incredible.
So
again, it's really hard to put into words the idea that my little brain and my silly little life and the stupid stuff I've done and my mental health has connected with other people. Obviously, when you're writing music and when you're putting yourself out there, you hope that it will connect with people, and you hope that other people will gain something from it or reflect within it or whatever. But to have the experience where people genuinely are coming back to you and saying, hey, that particular song really resonated with me for whatever reason, it's so incredible and so indescribable. And again, I'm just so grateful that people want to connect with it and they want to reach out and talk about it. And if it's helped anyone in any way, or any song has just made somebody think about something and change something for the better, or it changed their perception on something, then my job has been done, you know, because that's ultimately what I hope for when I write music. So, yeah.
And I think your story in particular is one of those songs that is just so relatable, particularly in a modern dating age. I actually, at first, I didn't twig that it was so direct in that it was about an Instagram story. So just a reminder again about the backstory of this song and how it came about.
So I actually did a blog post on this for my mailing list very recently. The PR line is that it's about being dumped by someone and seeing them on the Instagram stories. And that is true. That is part of it. I was in a relationship that was very flyby. It was very, very short, very intense, and they said all the right things and got me into it. And I let myself go, and I decided to let my feelings out and let them in. And just as I did that, they were like, ha 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 ha, said it all too early, don't want this anymore, bye. And then it was about seeing them on their stories and on Instagram and stuff, and they were absolutely fine, and I wasn't bitter at all, and it was okay.
Yeah, the teeth cracking like cement.
Actually, when you're doing a PR thing and talking about the story of a song, you kind of have to make it short and snappy. But the long story of it is actually, when I first wrote the chorus of this song, it was because I'd had a little tryst. A one-night stand that I didn't realise at the time was going to be a one-night stand, and it didn't feel like that, and I got on with this person ridiculously well, and I never fall easily, but with this person I fell for their brain massively, and they were living 300 odd miles away from me, and it was obvious that it wasn't going to work, and they were the one that said, I'm not looking for anything and definitely isn't going to work. And watching their stories in their hometown and them being happy, and me loving the fact that they were being happy, but just wishing that they would just want me part of that. That was where the real heartbreak came in, and that's where the chorus came from. So the first part of that song came from falling for somebody that I was never going to be able to be with.
And that is why it is such a relatable song. We've all been through it, and we'll continue to go through it as the human species. It's always going to be a thing. Heartbreak. It's the worst. But when you get through it, come out the side, you come out so much stronger for it. There's no.
Then you get a cat, and everything's.
Then you get a cat. You get a cat called Caesar, and everything's fine.
Everything.
Millie, it has been an absolute pleasure to catch up, and again, huge congratulations from all of us here at Primordial Radio for landing in at #1 in the Primordial Radio upvote with your story.
Thank you, and thank you again for all of your support, Pete. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I only hope that our relationship and friendship continues to grow.
I'm sure it will. The moment gigs are a thing again, Millie, I'll be there. Email in, phone in. It's gonna happen. Once we can get those gigs again, yes, we will make that happen. But for now, this is Millie, Manders and the Shutup, your #1 on the Primordial Radio upvote, and your story.